In my previous video, I mentioned that one of the reasons I live in Mexico is the Temazcal, and that I was a so-called Temazcal junkie for at least 2 years, which means I went to a Temazcal 2 or 3 times per week. In this video, I will reveal what on earth is the Temazcal. Why is it so good? So let's dive into the fascinating history of the Temazcal, explore its powerful healing properties, and uncover the deep metaphors behind this beautiful ancient practice. Whether you are curious to try one of them by yourself, whether you are just want to know a little bit more about the ancient cultures, this video is for you. Let's dive in. First, let's see what is the meaning of the word Temazcal. The Temazcal is a Nahuatl word, and the meaning is Temaz or steam and Kali house. So if you add these two together, basically the house of the steam, the word itself reflects the core function of Temazcal, which is basically a small enclosed place where people are using the steam to heal themselves physically and emotionally. First, let's talk about the physical structure of the Temazcal. The Temazcal is a small dome-shaped building which is built from bamboo or adobe or mud. Inside, in the center, in the pit, is the place where the volcanic stones or so-called abuelitas or grandmothers are placed. They are heated outside of the Temazcal and they bring them into the Temazcal in 4 rounds. As they pour water onto these stones, it created the steam, which basically the main healing property of the Temazcal. Inside is completely dark. It symbolizes the introspection, the rebirth, and the connection with the unseen. Now let's talk about how the Temazcal was used and used these days. The Temazcal is a sacred sweat lodge ceremony which was practiced over 1000 years all around in Mexico and in Central America. It was the core element of the Mesoamerican healing and spirituality. The ritual was not just believed healing the body, removing the toxins from the body, but to strengthen the spirit and connect people with the ancestors, with the spirit world, and with the nature. It played a very important role in certain life events. For example, when the warriors came back from the battle, this is how they cleaned the body and how they recovered the body. Actually, it's really interesting because if you are familiar with the sun dance tradition or the moon dance tradition, before the sun dance and after the sun dance, every single morning, every single afternoon or evening, they start and they finish with the Temazcal. And when I was talking about the vision quest, we started the whole vision quest with the Temazcal. After went up to the mountains, and 3.5 days later when they came down, we finished the whole journey with the Temazcal, and then you've been able to or allowed to eat and drink. So it's a little bit of a reflection what the warriors been doing back in time. Pregnant woman was using it, helping to prepare for giving birth and for the recovery after giving birth. And of course, lots of time, healers or shamans or curanderos was leading Temazcal, and the reason was to heal the physical and the mental and the emotional state of everyone. Of course, everything changed after 1521 when Spanish people came into this part of the world because they decided that this is something pagan, this is something has to be stopped, but luckily indigenous people kept this part of the culture, which means today it still exists, mainly in smaller communities. For example, where I live, this place is full of Temazcal, so it's perfect. Or if you go to wellness centers or go into the hotels, they can offer these services Temazcal. But I want to warn you that if you go to a Temazcal in a hotel, for example, don't think about that you really experience the Temazcal, because these Temazcals are, someone called them Barbie parlor, which means it's not very hot, it's just for 1 or 2 people, so there is space for you, it's very comfortable. Some Temazcals like this, they still have light inside as well, so let's call it a sauna, even if they advertise this is a Temazcal and they charge awful lot of money for it. Is something resembles Temazcal, but it is not. And it's really interesting. One of my Mexican friends told me that his grandma never took a bath or a shower, doesn't have a bathroom, but she warms up the stones and she is turning on the Temazcal every single day, and this is how she is cleansing her body. Let's talk about a little bit the symbols and the metaphors of the Temazcal. The Temazcal is a small, rounded, dark place representing the womb of the Mother Earth or Tonantzin, which means this is the place of rebirth and renewal. When we are entering the Temazcal, is like going back into the womb of the Mother Earth, into a safe and warm place. The extreme heat and the sweat symbolizes death and rebirth. And when you exit from the Temazcal, you really feel that you are reborn in your body and your mind and your spirit. I already mentioned the stones, the abuelitas, the grandmothers, which are brought into the Temazcal in 4 rounds. So basically, first the Temazcal is open, they bring the abuelitas in, after they close the Temazcal, this is the first round, this is the first puerta or first gate. And we have 3 more, so basically we have 4 puertas. And each door, each puerta has a specific meaning. It can be connected with the elements, for example, the earth, the water, the fire and the air, or it can be connected with the directions, the east, the south, the west and the north, or with the general energies like masculine energy, more feminine energy, or child or ancestral energy. Or if, for example, you are here in Mexico, in this part of the world, then you might will hear the name of the certain energies or deities, like the east representation of Quetzalcoatl, the south representation of Huitzilopochtli, the west representation of Xipetotec, the north representation is Tezcatlipoca. I'm saying that if you are in Mexico, but because this ceremony is changing in different regions. For example, if you are going to the north where the Lakota people are living, or a little bit to the south where more Maya tradition is alive, then you will experience completely different Temazcals. And even in Mexico there are different regions, which means the Temazcal ceremony and the metaphors and the symbolism can be a little bit different. Normally the third door is the strongest and the longest and super hot. This is considered the healing puerta, the healing door, and lots of people start to cry around this time in the Temazcal. I'm not just saying this like an information I experienced when I came here, and I had no idea what Temazcal is. I mean, I didn't know too much about Temazcal, and I didn't speak Spanish at all. I didn't know that, okay, now the healing circle is coming, so now you can cry. No, I just simply started to cry. And I was crying for months and months and months. That basically how Temazcal helped me to cleanse up all of the heaviness from my heart and from my spirit and who knows from where. As we are sitting in the Temazcal, it is not quiet. It's not like I'm just meditating. In the Temazcal, we have singing, we have drums, we have sonajas, which is the shaker in your hand, and it's quite a noisy experience. Some people sing so loud that you feel that, oh my god, they are just, the whole energy just kind of giving me a hug. So it can be very intense experience, and of course it's pitch dark. I already mentioned the abuelitas, the stones, and I mentioned that with a bunch of plants which are so-called cleansing plants. They have cleansing properties like rosemary or sage or millions different ones. They put the water onto the abuelitas, onto the stones, and that's how the steam entering into the space. This steam basically represents the spirit world, which is surrounding us all the time. And that's why in the Temazcal lots of people bring their sadness, their sorrow. The Temazcal ceremony basically for lots of people is a big prayer. That's why the steam is not simply just affecting the body and cleansing the toxins from the body, but can release past traumas and ancestral traumas as well. As are already getting closer and closer to the topic, let's talk about a little bit the healing properties of the Temazcal, the physical healing, the mental healing, and the spiritual healing. Physically, of course, the Temazcal helps you to detoxify your body because of the heat, because of the lots of sweat. So it's cleansing your skin, it is cleansing your internal organs, and also because it promotes lymphatic drainage, it supports the body's natural detoxification process. It can be so profound that once my friend mentioned that she was very, very sick. She had some problem, some pain around the stomach area, and she went into a Temazcal, and after she went home she was sleeping and vomiting for 2 days in a row, and after she was okay, she had some problems with the bile, and the Temazcal activated the body that okay, now let's get rid of whatever is not needed, and she just got healed. As in the Temazcal, the circulation get improved. This can help the muscle recovery, can help to reduce inflammation, and can help the health of the heart. Every time when I go into the Temazcal with a pain which I know that is coming from muscle tension, and most of the time where the muscle tension is coming from mental, every time when I get there, after next day I have no problem at all as the tension gets released. And it's a very interesting feeling after a very, very, very strong Temazcal that you feel that like you have fever. One moment you feel super hot and the next moment you feel very cold. That fever-like state can stimulate the immune system, which helps to fight against infection. Actually, one of my Temazcalero friends, when it was the time of COVID, he opened his Temazcal for people, and he said, okay, this is the COVID Temazcal. And he believed that that can prevent and that can heal COVID. As I already kind of mentioned or went into this direction, if we talk about the mental benefits, as you are sitting in the dark, so there is not too much to see, of course, and as you are listening the songs, and as you are in the heat, and as you are breathing in the different kind of smells, it starts to calm the nervous system, helps to release the stress slowly, and with this relief tension, it can, for example, help with anxiety, with depression. And yes, let's go immediately into the spiritual healing part. Sometimes during the Temazcal, you can have so deep and profound and clear thoughts. If you had issues, if you had problem at one moment, you just see what is the solution. Or you can hear that someone is talking to you what you need to do. So it can be spiritually, it can be a super deep practice. If the environment, the energy, and the Temazcal and the Temazcalero and you are in the right place and in the right time. And another very important element is, and this is why I mentioned that if you go into the wellness center in the hotel in a Temazcal, it's not really a Temazcal experience because it's too clean, it's too beautiful, it's too whatever. In a real Temazcal, you are sitting on the earth, you are connected with the dust, with the tierra itself, which means, and maybe you already heard about earthing, you are connected energetically with the earth. The body absorbs the free electrons of the earth, which helps to reduce inflammation from the body. And lots of illness, lots of physical issues background is coming from the body has inflammation somewhere because of the food we are eating, because the stress, or etc. So when you are sitting in a Temazcal and you connected with the earth, you are exchanging electrons, you are exchanging energy with the earth. That's all of the reason all together why we are thinking about the Temazcal like a rebirth ceremony. Physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, in any sense. By the way, about the earthing, I will leave a link. You can watch a film, a documentary about earthing. Super interesting. I can really recommend. It's in the comment section. And one more very important element of the Temazcal is the community. That's another reason why I'm not a big fan of hotel and wellness Temazcals with private ceremonies, because the main thing is when we go to the Temazcal, we bring some fruits with us and put on the table, and when the Temazcal ends, we share all of these things with each other. And when you go into a community Temazcal in a small village, in this little Temazcal, there will be 10, 15, 20 or sometimes more people sitting like this. Is not comfortable. It's not like, okay, and now I'm having the Temazcal. You are sharing the dark, you are sharing the heat, you are sharing the songs, you are sharing the discomfort, you are sharing the suffering of life. What we are normally already sharing just because we are human beings. And maybe it seems this is a millionaire, and maybe it seems this is a very poor person, but still, we are all human beings with the same sufferings. And this is a reminder that we are the same, that we are connected, doesn't matter what. So hopefully by now it started to get a little bit more clear why I'm so drawn to Temazcal, why it was able to keep me in Mexico. If you have a chance, and if you in your area where you are living there is a sweat lodge ceremony or Temazcal ceremony and you never tried, go and try out. I'm very curious, how do you feel, what is your opinion? So feel free to share in the comment section. Or if you have a chance to come into Mexico, then try not to go into the wellness center or the hotel where you are staying into Temazcal, but go into little villages, ask around for local people, where is the Temazcal ceremony, and go there and try, because that's the more authentic, and that's where you can experience and feel everything I've been talking about. One more thing, if you are lucky enough to enter into Temazcal with local people, then women, girls, don't take your bikini with you, or take it with you but have some scarf on the top or have some very thin clothes, because at the end of the day this is still a ceremony. And yes, you can go into a bikini, but you will feel very uncomfortable, because most of the women are wearing clothes, they are wearing some dress. So if you don't want to feel like you are a UFO, very obviously, which may be very obvious otherwise as well, then take your dress with you. That was all for today. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and share and subscribe, and see you in the next one. Adios.